So I'm just bored sat in this hotel room. So I thought I'd go through just anything that caught my interest. And I thought I'd check David Smalley's Twitter because he did a chat with me on my live stream channel because he's recently been chewed out by the SJWs in the manner that we've seen so many times before. And so yeah, I saw this tweet and I thought, oh man, he's in trouble. And there's Iron Geek who has an actual point, and David agrees with him. And Ryan Bell, religion is about pretend deities in the sky. Social justice is about creating a more equitable world for everyone. Totally the same thing. Is it? Social justice doesn't have its own deities. What's the patriarchy? But David says, straw man, you're getting good at these days. In the methods of attack, groupthink, ignoring evidence is pervasive in the outrage cult. They'll get you to it, it's a matter of time. Ryan Bell, I have no idea what you're saying. Well, then you're an idiot, Ryan. Then you haven't been paying attention. And maybe you should go and watch some of my videos. Social justice at its core of civil disobedience for equality is a good thing. Agreed. But again, do we even need to call it social justice, or is that just justice? That's not my issue. It's the method of vicious attack, moral outrage overriding speech, and ignoring evidence that reeks of religious fervour. Totally agree. You really went with ignoring evidence. Marissa? Yes. You guys ignore evidence all the time, but I love this. Wow, you're aligning with this guy. You're a reasonable guy, Ed. Watch the video before judgment. I'm going to watch it. Didn't get back to him. That was 23 hours ago. Didn't come back and say, okay, fair enough. Maybe. I'm sick of this. I've been listening to Dogma debate since almost the beginning. I just can't believe the slander going on here. Hashtag liberals eat their own. Elaine's absolutely on the money. Well, you sealed your fate with your day one base of fans. Disappointing, man. You've never seen any of my stuff, have you, Marcos? I hear you saying go listen, but how can I do that and not support the trash person Sargon with a click and a view that pays him? Get ad blocked, dummy. But I was with you on 90% of what you said, but I can't follow you into alt-right land. So, like or dislike Sargon, he's not alt-right. He debates against the philosophy. And this is fair, actually. Maybe I was too reactionary on my part. It was way too reactionary on your part. I should say that I'm not going to follow someone who stands with Captain Rape joke. I didn't make a rape joke. I could make a rape joke, but I feel a little forced. And his army of deplorables. Wow, I mean, come on. A lot of them are very nice people. David compromised his own morality and humanism with this. Purity spiral. He hasn't compromised anything. David's been a perfectly respectable gentleman in every way to me. He's been completely honest. He's brought the evidence of the bad behavior that has been done to him. I absolutely see no problem with anything that David has done. You guys, however, seem to be acting in exactly the kind of tribal way that he has suggested. And you just admit, I was being way too reactionary. Yeah, exactly. You just leapt to the hyperbole without even thinking about it. There's the Heather Hair thing. They really care about it. I can't believe they give such a shit about that. Like, I'm amazed because they're like, oh, he said that Heather Hair died. I don't give a shit about Heather Hair. I don't care how she died either. I don't even know if it was necessarily a terrorist attack. I mean, do we ever get like the info on what happened? Because I mean, there was footage of this car being hit by a bat, and was it an accident or not? I have no idea. But and I certainly don't just trust. I mean, like there's literally a threatened stormfront frozen pole, okay, but there's literally on like your far left neo-Marxist website saying other things, and I don't trust either of you guys. So if I hadn't already stopped contributing to you, this would have certainly made me. I used to think you were a good guy, not anymore. Okay, now you're not morally pure enough for Denny Kolb, but Denny Kolb is pure, and he's gonna fucking judge you, David. As the old saying goes, you lie down with dogs, you get up with fleas. It's interesting, David. It's interesting. How's that atheist movement coming, by the way? Growing, is it? Getting bigger every day, is it? I hear that you're really pushing back the Christ. Oh, no, wait. Atheism is failing as a fucking movement, and it's because of people like you, isn't it, Denny? Man, that must suck. It must suck to be so goddamn Puritan that you just can't talk to anyone else. But, I mean, dogma debate can't fail soon enough. That's nice. I mean, that's the thing, right? I don't want the atheist movement to fail. I don't really want anything to fail. I want things to enjoy their own audiences, and if their audience isn't interested, then fine. But that's not for me to wish their own demise on them. Admittedly, I did with Gorka, but that's because Gorka was cancer. I'm joking. No, I'm not joking. That's true. Well. David Smalley is a Nazi. Who knew? I'm guessing that's a joke. What's so frightening about this new wave of moral outrage is how perfectly divisive it is. Two distinct sides. I've always tried to be skeptical and centrist if possible, not buy into dogma, but this new religion is terrifyingly good at striving for moral purity. Darren's seen this in action then. There is no desire to try and understand someone if you find yourself at odds with. The main goal is to quickly build a straw man that your opponent cannot escape from or apologize from. These are not new insults. Heretic, blasphemer, apostate, other. That's a great analysis and summary of exactly the problem that the SJWs are doing. I mean, like the other guy got caught in it earlier. Oh, that's alt-right land. No, it's genuinely not alt-right land. And the previous video I did will demonstrate that. Claims to be harassed. Title shows SJW Inquisition. Yeah. What else would you call this unwarranted attack on David's character? Yeah, I mean, what's David done wrong? Exactly. Unwarranted, ha ha ha. Yeah, Marissa. What makes it warranted? Specific instant, please. I'm sorry, you seem to have mistaken me for someone who entertains shitlordery from men or women who seek to silence women who speak about the lived experiences of harassed assault. I've never sought to silence a woman or anyone. In fact, who am I silencing? How could I be silencing someone? But that shit gets nothing but ridicule from me. Bye-bye now. So you're just saying you lost the argument, Marissa. You're just like, okay, no, seriously, when did David do that? If he silenced women about these things, I'd genuinely like to know. Just digital blackface? Fucking hell, Marissa. If I was actually on Twitter still, I would block you. That is disgusting. I can't believe you didn't even consider how you're exploiting a woman of colour in that way. Hey David, I won't excuse the bullshit people throw at one another, including at you, but with something like this, you're taking very significant steps away from the reputable and mainstream secular sphere. Do you know how unbelievably disreputable mainstream secularism is at the moment? You know, you guys are having your Me Too moment. You might think, yeah, we're getting one over on those evil white males who are at the top, as always. But what you're actually doing is making it so that your group becomes smaller and smaller and less credible. Do you understand that? Like you guys can't pull an audience anymore. I believe you're going to hurt the community by going this way. Don't. Yeah, he's the one hurting the community. It's not the community's deliberately hurting him. And it's not like I'm just saying, man, I've seen this before and this is exactly the pattern of behavior I'd expect. I'm genuinely sorry this happens to anyone. You know, this happened to me years ago. And since then, I've just become, I guess, a kind of lightning rod around these things. But, so you're not watching the video, just making judgment based on who's talking to who. Is that right? Again, totally reasonable thing to say. You're speaking to a prominent figure from a side of secularism that is maligned for its demonstrably toxic behaviour. Ross, I'm not going to call you an idiot. I'm going to say your side is famous for their toxic behaviour, and that's why there is another side that does not like your behaviour, that you call toxic, that exists purely as a response to your toxicity. And you can't believe that for some reason you just can't believe that your side might be toxic. I just don't even. You're speaking to a prominent figure. You're unironically using SJW. You are a culture warrior for social justice. It's not a pejorative. It's an accurate description of what you do. A pejorative frequently thrown at me baselessly. Come on now. You're quick to lump progressive thought under the dogma umbrella. Well, it's become quite dogmatic, hasn't it? I'm noting what I'm seeing outside of this moment. The context that it exists in, from weeks and months and years, all the way to specific terminology and conversations you're having in this thread. It paints a picture I felt worth responding to. Are you really convinced that by watching this video I'll come away with a modified opinion of your overall trajectory? And the hammer and nail tweet, no, because you guys won't be persuaded by anything. Because you're at a point where if you admit that you've done anything wrong, then you'll have to go back and say, right, okay, was the previous thing I did wrong? Yes, okay, by these standards it was. And that was worse. And you get to a point where you're just going to have to start apologizing for literally everything you've said to people like David. And you can't do that. Your egos are never going to allow you to do it. You're not humble enough to do this. And so, yeah, nothing's going to persuade you, is it? I mean, what would you need to be persuaded, Ross? For shit's sake. Looking for sympathy has certainly driven you into the shitlordiest part of town. It's weird because the shitlord part of town doesn't have any accusations of sexual assault. Do you know what's really weird about it, isn't it, Randy? It's really weird. I mean, no one's saying, well, I'm a skeptic touched me at a conference. Apart from Shu, maybe, but I think that was consensual. And, like, no one's saying Thunderfoot raped me, or like, I don't know, whatever. No one's saying these things about our side, but your side, fucking plagued with it. Weird. If you had a beef with Thomas and Sargon had a beef with Thomas, then Sargon must also be okay. I've not had any beef with Thomas. I would still love to have a polite and friendly chat with Thomas about the actual ideology he promotes. I would love to do this. Thomas is the one who can't do it, and we know why. But I'm totally not a dishonest, egomaniacal, sociopathic narcissist. I've been called a few things in my day, Randy. You know what, right? Whenever I meet up with people, like I went to the Boston thing, and I had a bunch of people sending me, and I'm not trying to blow my own horn here, but I had people saying to me things like, they say never meet your heroes, but you were a complete gentleman. Thank you for being really nice. And I am nice to people, which is why people want to say that to me. Being a dishonest, egomaniacal, sociopathic narcissist is a set of character traits I would expect to find in the people opposing me, specifically for the reasons that you're giving, as in, I'm not these things, and people who are these things don't like that. It would be a lot better for you if I was that, but I'm not. I don't listen to your podcast, but I did listen to you. What has happened to you is unjust, and skeptics perpetuating character attacks should be ashamed. I don't know what else I can say, but keep up the good work. It's a nice thing from Harry Cox, who's got a very interesting avatar. I wouldn't even denounce you, David. That's great. Oh, there are some good stuff. I'm glad to see people supporting David here, right? This is the thing. The SJWs are brutal, and it's if we're fighting this culture, we've got to be in the trenches like this. But we need more than humanism. We need humanism plus social justice, humanism plus slander, humanism plus hate mobs, humanism plus dehumanization. That's great. Humanism plus communism. Samuel, you're bang on the money, mate. Keep standing against them. We can't let this new religion of social justice win. Yeah, and who would want social justice? Yeah, exactly. No one would surely want this social justice nonsense unless they were directly benefiting from it. And then, oh well, it's in their interests, isn't it? It's not even. It's not justice. It's a way of kind of victimizing people who've never done anything to you. David, granted I haven't watched this, but do you really think I wouldn't even rape you guys? Really the top person to talk to about online harassment? Yeah, I've been harassed loads by you guys. Loads. Sometimes in real life. I know a lot about what it's like to be the victim of online harassment. That's where all this grey hair came from. Explain how the phrase I wouldn't even rape you is either harassment or a threat. It's not. You don't remember calling it a threat. It's not harassment either. I'm kind of shocked anyone denies that. Use a person's past trauma as an insult. No, I didn't. I had no idea. But he says, yeah, you had no idea of the context of the tweet. Yeah, he doesn't. Oof, bringing an actual white supremacist on. Maybe this is why you catch a bunch of shit. Next week you get Chris Cantwell. Holy fuck. I had the host of the show back as I'm not an active listener of Dave's show. I thought David brought Sargon on. I didn't realise it the other way around until you say something. I do see that David is lying himself a racist now. I'd love to know some of the things you disagree with in the video. The biggest thing is giving racists any airtime. This is the thing, right? This is what you do when you're skeptical. You assign a label to someone, and then regardless of what anyone says or does, you just continue with it, whether you're racist or not. I mean, I'm an individualist. And that's the thing. He doesn't provide any proof. Sargon has proven time and time again he's a garbage human. That won't change. Well, yeah, I'm not going to stop being a garbage human. You're right. When you said that 90% of what you believe is what leftists believe, we also really hate Nazis, though. And Dabney says, white supremacist is one of the nastiest things you call someone, also Nazi. Why do you think Sargon is both? I'm not being snarky here. I'm honestly missing something. But he never replies. You've clearly never watched anything from Sargon. And yeah. Oh, I said nigger. Look, I will say nigger on cue if you want, because I know I'm not a racist. I'm not saying it to black people to demean them. Therefore, I am not being racist. Just saying the word nigger in an abstract way is only offensive if you're a fucking snowflake. Stop being a snowflake. And Obese Chipmunk's got this absolutely down. The whole issue with the word nigger. Seriously, saying the N-word is no better than saying the word itself. It means the same thing. It confers the same emotions. I agree. I completely agree. And then this guy Like, have fun being racist? I wish you the worst. Of course you do. Because that's what good people do. They wish the worst for people. It's just, honestly, I feel bad for David because, like, this community is just awful. And, these guys don't realize that, like, David's a centre lefty. He's a proper liberal. He's a centre left liberal. He's not an SJW. He's not a Marxist or of any form. And these people are, and they have declared everything that isn't good in their interests to be a sin. They're essentially, the new Calvinists, and David has to deal with these on Twitter. And for people who, because David's used to doing very respectful debates with Christians, and Christians can be very, very respectful. Most of them are, and so I can imagine that, yeah, okay, he has theological arguments with them, which is fine. And then suddenly he gets the SJW hate mob, and it's completely different. It's a totally different animal. And I see so many people who just don't really understand it. But thankfully I do. I've been dealing with it for long enough. And again, it was my pleasure to have David on. I genuinely feel for the guy because I've seen this happen so many times. And I really hope that everything works out for him and that these people eventually just leave him alone. Because ultimately, he doesn't need your fucking opinions, guys. If you hate him, you hate him. That's fine. He's not part of your cult, and he doesn't have to be.